So I'm replacing the speakers on my 2009 Audi S5, and this is the rear from the driver's side. Passenger side will be the same, but it's just a matter of removing the seat bottom, taking the pillar off in the back over here. There's a little trick to do that. You got to pop out the airbag plastic cap, pull it out a little bit, and then the whole panel will pop out and slide out. And then this piece here, as long as the seat bottom is out and the seat back is down, you can work your way around and pry it off of here and all that. It's not hard. But the speaker ends up being down in this compartment right here. So, not too bad to get to. You don't have to actually remove the panel or anything. The problem is, Crutchfield says these Infinity speakers, fit, and they do. I mean, they're the right size, but the adapters that they sent are not going to work. The holes that line up on the top don't even come close on the bottom. Like once these are, all lined up, it's a huge difference down here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to take apart this speaker and mount this into the factory mount. I've already got the grill loose and off. So my plan is to trim all around here, all these black plastic arms here. I'm going to cut those. I'm going to snip these wires so that I can then attach the new speakers wires to it and use the factory plug. And I think I'm going to have to Dremel off this lip right here that holds the grill on. So I'm going to get to work with the Dremel, and then I will come back and update. Okay, I made the cuts all along the back of the speaker bracket here, and now that's all free. But of course the speaker itself is what's holding it in. So next step is to take a razor blade and cut around the perimeter of the speaker so that the material will come out. So that's next. Okay, that was pretty easy. Just a razor blade down through the edge here, and then I just went around the whole thing on the inside of the plastic. Now that separates the speaker from the original bracket, and I had already cut these wires. So now I've got something to work with. I am going to have to trim, this, because now this is going to drop right in here. But obviously, with that lip in the way, I'm not going to be able to get a flush mount. So I'm going to trim all of this lip here, and then I believe I've got some foam tape left over. Yeah, I've got a bunch of foam tape left over from the installation kit that Crutchfield sent. So I'll do a ring of the foam tape and then get the speaker mounted down on top of this bracket, and we'll go from there. So I decided not to Dremel the lip around the factory speaker bracket. I took a razor blade and I scored around the edge all the way around 3 or 4 times, and then just took a pair of pliers, cutters, something, and grabbed the plastic and snapped it inward, and it ends up coming off really easily, and you end up with a nice flat surface for the new speaker to drop down into after I put the ring of foam tape around here. One tricky part is where the plug is. So I scored both sides of the plug, and then on top of the plug where it meets down in here. And frankly, I don't know what's going to happen yet, but I figured I would record it to see if this is also as easy as the rest. So just grabbing like this and snapping in. No problem there. I'm going to do the other side. And let's see now. I have something to get down in there with. Not really. Try a little sideways. that. And so that's how that came out. There's still a little bit of trimming right there, you know, but maybe I will take the Dremel and just clean up right there. Let's see how the new speaker is going to drop in there. Yeah. So actually, once that little spot there is cleaned up, I'll be able to center the speaker nicely and have plastic all the way around to screw the speaker into the factory bracket with. So it'll just be a matter of orienting it like this to get the speaker connections close, you know, and then just soldering those two places together. I'll check positive and negative, obviously, on the wiring harness in the car. And then that'll all line up, and then I'll be able to just put this entire assembly back in right into the factory location. So at least that's the plan. All right, so the factory bracket goes in this way on the inside of the quarter panel on the driver's side. And so taking a look at the factory plug right there, you can see that the red wire is to the rear. It's towards the back of the car. So when the bracket is oriented in there, this side right here is going to be the positive side. So that's the way I'm going to hook up the new speaker. So finally, here's the speaker mounted in the factory bracket. The mounting does not line up exactly so that all 4 screws can go, you know, either on this lower lip or the upper lip when it's the other way. So you do end up with 2 through this part and 2 through this part. It does not really affect anything at all. It still is sealed all the way around. I did have to take the Dremel and just kind of make a little bit of a groove right here in this plug, enough to get this seated in there all the way so that I could get all 4 of these to line up over plastic. And like I said, a couple of them were up on this higher side, and then I think that one was actually down in the very narrow well right there. But you can see that it's fine. It still comes right through like that. And then the way that it actually lined up, positive and negative were on the correct sides for the plug versus the speaker. So it was just a matter of soldering the original speaker wire that went to the paper before over here. What are these? I just snipped those and attached them directly to the new speaker. So now I'm just gonna go put it back in the car. Okay, I'm in the back of my S5, and I thought I would take a minute to show you how to take off this panel. It's already off on that side because I'm still in the middle of putting my speaker back in on the driver's side, but I figured I'd take a minute to show you how to take this off. It is held in only by clips. There's no special screws or anything, but there is a trick to it. This black plastic cap that says airbag on it, when it clicks in, there's like a locking device inside behind there. So this has to be pulled out in order to release that, so that you can then, you know, use your normal pry tools and get around the edge of this and pop it all out. Not sure how it's going to go one-handed here, but I figured I would try to show you. Just use like a pick, you know, kind of tool. Get in up behind there and pull it out. That unlocks what's in behind there, and then a normal pry tool can get in there, maybe enough so you can get your fingers on it. I can't remember how I took off the other side, what I started with actually. There we go. See that? Don't be afraid of it. You're not going to break anything. And then that whole thing will just pop down and slide out of there. And when you go to put it back in, obviously it just goes back in and you pop it back into place. And then to lock it all in, you just press, you know, this cover back in, because it uses this clip to lock into there. So hopefully that's helpful to somebody. Just a quick note on how I got these out without removing the panel entirely. This is just a regular T20 bit, but then I've got a ratcheting 1/4 inch wrench. And so the 1/4 inch fits in here, and then you can ratchet it one way or another, and it's a little easier to get in here and do that rather than a large socket kind of situation. This is just a little bit smaller and more compact to get in behind the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and get the speaker put in. There's the 3 mounting holes themselves, but then there's also these 2 guide holes, and on the speaker bracket itself you've got these pins. So it's actually pretty easy to line up and slide in there, and you don't have to hold it in place while you tighten everything up. So that's the next step. Okay, speaker is now resting on the pins, and I just hand tightened in the mounting. Not going to be easy to do one-handed, but I figured I'd try to at least show you what I mean about this little thing. So you can get in here on that, and then because it's ratcheting, you can just kind of do this. It's nice and tight. Come down here to the bottom one. And like I said, it's not super easy with one hand. Normally I'd have my other hand in there holding this bit in place, but I suppose it's doable. Okay, I'll have to recover that, and then I will put the rest of them in with 2 hands. Okay. All right, here's the panel all snapped back in, all the rubber back in place. I don't think you needed to remove this to take this panel back and away or whatever. I looked behind there because on the front doors there's a hidden screw, but this one there was nothing behind there, so that trim piece can stay in place. I suppose the speaker grill can even stay in place, but I popped that off to kind of get a look at what was behind there. So everything's all backed in. This part is popped back over where the seatbelt retractor is. All the clips pushed back into place. As far as the speaker grill goes, one little note on this so that when you're taking it out, you won't mess it up. If you look very closely at the bottom here, these tabs are angled. So the install process, you've got to put it in at an angle and then rotate it up. So when you go to take this out, if you want to take it out for some reason, you know, I started with my tool like this, and I got in right here, and I just kind of slowly pressed in and worked it around like this ever so slightly. I didn't go digging, just ever so slightly, and all of these things, you know, popped out very easily. You can see how it's just gonna snap back in once everything is lined up. Can't really see that one yet. I don't know if maybe it needs a little persuasion. Yeah, it's just got to go in behind a little lip there. And the same with this one. Yeah, this one-handed stuff is terrible. There it is. Alright, so then now that snaps back in nice and tight all the way around with no damage. So there you go. That's the speaker moved over to the factory mount and installed in the rear quarter panel trim. Forgot to show one last thing. This panel, you kind of put it at a 45-degree angle and just push it in as far as you possibly can. And as you rotate it up in, you'll see where the clips here, and here line up. And then when you get them real close, you just give it a smack, you know, it'll pop in. And then all the way around it will. And then finally the little plastic cover for the air, it says airbag on it. It just tells you there's an airbag back here. The airbag isn't actually behind this. But that's what locks it in place, is once you're all done once that snaps back up and in, now that those tabs inside are nice and tight and this isn't going to rattle or anything, it's all secure in there. So that's a final little note on that. Well, I didn't really plan on making a tutorial out of this, but hopefully some of the information is helpful to somebody who's trying to do speakers on a coupe. I've done plenty of B8, A4s, but I've never done a coupe before. And so hopefully some good stuff here about taking the rear panels off. I didn't see a lot on YouTube, to be honest with you. I saw one guy in a junkyard trying to take the whole folding down rear seat out to take the panel out, but I didn't think it was necessary to remove the entire panel just to get to the speaker, and it turns out that's the case. So you can do this with minimal tools and without disassembling much more than the seat bottom and a couple of trim panels. So hopefully that's some good information for you. I'm not a YouTube channel guy looking for likes and subscribes and all that, but if you want to subscribe, I am going to go over a few things on this S5 that I bought. It may be the highest mileage, lowest priced car in America. I bought this about a month ago for $3,500 in not running condition. It was sitting in a parking garage in New Hampshire for months because of a bad starter. So I bought it. It's got 219,000 miles on it, and I spent about $3 grand repairing it, going through the upgrades, freshening everything up, fixing oil leaks, things like that. So I think I'm probably going to do a video on this, and some of you who are into S5s may find it interesting. All right, till then, bye.